Hello students, let's start with the new chapter which is pension contribution. And first of all, let's see the new concept which is benefits of the pension contribution. It is very obvious that pension contribution is very long-term investment, students, but it is not just long-term investment, it is, students, very tax efficient. And let's see that how it can be the tax efficient and how we will get the tax benefit out of that pension contribution, that we will see now, students. First of all, students, whenever you contribute any amount in the pension fund, you will get directly tax benefit in the same tax year on the amount of contribution you made on that particular tax year. That means if we have made the 5,000 amount of the pension contribution in the tax year of 2019-20, then we will get tax benefit out of that 5,000 pound in the same tax year of the 2019-20. Now, whenever the employer will contribute some amount, then that amount will not be considered as a taxable benefit, or we can say that the amount is exempt benefit for the employee. So the employee will get the contribution from the employer, but he will not be taxed, right? So then after, students, any kind of CGT or IHT will not arise on the funds of the pension. Then after, students, on retirement also, when you withdraw your pension fund, the part of the amount can also be withdrawn as a tax-free lump sum amount. Now, students, there are two types of pension schemes. One is occupational pension schemes, which is applicable to employees only. And the second one is the personal pension scheme, which can be applicable to anyone. Now, students, if person has contributed the amount in pension funds, but it can only be available for tax relief if the pension scheme is registered and the person is aged less than 75 years. So if suppose above both the conditions are fulfilled, then person can make any amount of the contribution. But, students, the tax relief will be given for the maximum annual amount only. So let's see that now that what is the maximum annual amount, students. It will be higher of 3,600 pound or 100% of the relevant earnings. But, students, you have to remember that which income will be included in the relevant earnings. You can consider the trading income, employment income and FHL income only. You cannot consider the property income or investment income. Students, if you have made contribution above this maximum amount, then the tax relief will not be given in the excess of the maximum amount. That means that, student, it will be given on the basis of the maximum annual amount and not on the basis of the actual contribution. Now, students, we have got the amount of the contribution on which we will get the tax relief, right? But, students, we have to see that how we will get the tax benefit. So firstly, students, let's learn how tax benefit will be given to the personal pension contributions. If the person is basic rate taxpayer, then it's very easy, students, that person will pay 80 pound and government will add 20 pound, and so his or her funds will be credited by 100 pound. So this is how he will get the benefit of 20%. Now, students, what if the taxpayer is higher or additional rate taxpayer? Then for them, students, 20% benefit will arise same as above, students, that we discussed in a normal way. That 80 they will give, 20 government will add, and the pension fund will be credited by 100. But, student, now additional 20 or 25% tax benefit they will get by extending the basic or higher rate bands. Students, we have learned that extension of the bands in the chapter 2 already. So now let's see that how the tax benefit will arise for the occupational pension contribution. For employees contribution, students, whatever employee will contribute will be deductible from the employment income as an allowable deduction. So we can say that it will be given clearly and directly for all the employees in the employment income pro forma. And, student, if suppose any employer have made a contribution, that I already told you that it will be exempt for the employee. So there is no taxable benefit kind of things because it is already exempt, right? So Now students, let's see the next topic, which is annual allowance, which is once again student the indirect restrictions on the pension contribution. We have seen that person can make any amount of the contribution in pension, but the tax relief is restricted to the maximum annual allowance of £40,000. Any amount above that will be subject to tax charge, students. Please, any amount above that will be subject to tax charge. Now students, annual allowance can only be increased if the person has previous unused allowance, and on that year the person should also be the member of the registered pension scheme. So let's see the tax charge on the excess contribution made by the person, that how we will calculate it. Students, the excess amount will be taxed as an top slice of the income. That means that it will be taxed at the last after all the incomes. So we can say that the excess amount will have the tax charge at the maximum rate. If the person is additional rate taxpayer, then at the 45% percentage tax. If he is a higher rate taxpayer, then 40%. And if he is a basic rate taxpayer, then 20% tax. And also students, this excess amount will be taxed as a non-saving income. Right, so we have seen that non-saving income taxation percentage are different. For saving it is different, and the dividend income it is different. But any amount which is excess will be taxed as a non-saving income. But yes students, this income will not counted as an adjusted net income. Why? Because the excess amount that we are talking about will be taxed separately. You will not see any kind of this excess amount in the income tax pro forma. You have to calculate it separately, and whatever the tax amount will be there, that you have to add in the final tax liability, student, at the last. So in the adjusted net income you will not see anywhere, right? So then after students, I told you that the annual allowance is £40,000, but that is for the normal taxpayer, right? But student, if suppose the taxpayer is a higher income person, then annual allowance will be reduced. So the annual allowance is reduced if the person has a threshold income of more than 1,10,000 and adjusted income of more than 1,50,000. So let's say suppose if the person is having the higher income of that figures I have given above, that threshold income of more than 1,10,000 and higher, he is also having the adjusted income of more than 1,50,000, then how much amount we will reduce from the annual allowance? For that students, we have formula given over here, so please refer that. But here students, we have very important rule which you should remember, which is about maximum reduction amount in annual allowance. You can reduce the annual allowance by 30,000 GBP only, right? That is the maximum limit. That means students that minimum annual allowance will always be £10,000. Here in this slide students, I have given the pro forma of how we will calculate the threshold income and adjusted income. So please read it carefully. Now students, next topic is benefits on the retirement. If suppose students on the retirement, initially the person is withdrawing the lump sum amount fund from the pension funds, then it can be tax free. But student, maximum of 25% of lower of value of funds or lifetime annual allowance amount, right? So either you take the value of the funds multiplied by 25% or lifetime allowance amount multiplied by 25%, whichever is lower, that will become your maximum amount to take it as a lump sum amount, and that will be as in tax free, right? That is the maximum amount you can take lump sum as in tax free. But now students, what will happen if for the excess amount, what will happen to the other funds? So for that the taxation will be simple, like it will be taxed normally 20, 40 or 45% whenever withdrawn, students. If suppose students your total pension fund is more than the lifetime allowance amount, then that excess amount of the funds will also be taxed additionally. but we don't have much depth on that concept for F6 level, so you don't need to worry about. So here is a chapter, students. We will learn the next chapter in the next lecture. Thank you.